Here's how my book looks at the end of week 1. Notice I've made another cover. This is another one that I've hand sewn using Marilese's tutorial. If you go back to my previous video where I showed you the Wk1 cover, fabric cover that I made, that's the same tutorial. I've just added some pockets and elastic. Mine has, as you can see, a pocket on the outside, because I put a pocket on the inside for my pens originally, and it made the whole thing very bulky and hard to carry because there was a big lump here. And then I thought, hang on a minute, why don't I just put my pens on the outside? They'd be much easier to get to. So I put a pocket on the outside. And as you can see, this one holds, and I don't know how because I didn't even measure it, a 6-inch ruler, a Pilot G-Tech, a mechanical pencil, and the actual pen I'm using this month, my 3-barrel Colito. It does actually fit 2 Colitos in this pocket quite easily. So that is the outside, and I added a piece of elastic which is just sewn to the back cover to keep it closed. I tried it without the elastic and it kept flopping open and it was just doing my head in. So that's the updated version, and on the back I've got a pocket, which again I don't know how I did it because I didn't measure anything, but my phone fits perfectly in that pocket, so I'm really pleased about that. I'm considering putting some kind of a closure here to stop the phone falling out by accident, but I'm not sure because then the book won't lie flat. That said, even with pens in this pocket and my phone in the back, the book still is easy to work in, so maybe I will. I don't know. Okay. Oh, for reference, this is a Galaxy Note 2, so it's a bit bigger than your average iPhone. You may remember that I was using this book in the front here. I had it originally elastic banded onto here, and with my lists book inside that I was going to use for bullet journaling. Well, that went by the wayside because what I found was I was using my orange for work and my black for home stuff or other stuff, but I like to colour code, so this is how I normally do my bullet journaling, and not colour coding was kind of doing my head in a bit. So I thought, well, how can I colour code without using another pen? And then I found these sticky notes in my stash. I bought these ages ago in The Works, which is a UK cheapo shop. They're really good quality sticky notes, and they come in 6 different colours, and they've got tabs on. And I thought, hey, I can use those, because I always carry my planner like that, so using these hard tabs on the side isn't an option, but using paper tabs, that works, because, you know, they get a bit dog-eared, but they don't break off, they don't, you know, they're just there. So I pulled these off, and I used the previous month, so this is my July, I'll go into that in a minute. I've got, my purple is always personal stuff, so that's labelled there. Orange is always work, so that's labelled there. And then back here, social media is always pink, and that is my materials lists that I've been working on for things that people have asked me to test in Wk1. So instead of having an extra book, which, you know, I was going to use this just for work, so it wasn't really, I didn't consider it cheating, it was just an interpretation of the challenge. But ultimately this actually this works better because I can, you know, I can find things really easily. Unfortunately, these two tabs overlap because I put one in upside down, but anyway. Yeah, I would rather use these actually because I've got about 6 packs of these. I loved the idea of them so much that I picked up quite a few. And, you know, there's like 60 sheets in it in a set, 6 colours of 10 sheet. Sorry, 6 colours, 10 sheets each. And, you know, with my writing, it's going to take me a while to get through one sheet, even just using one side. I've divided it in 2 because I can make 2 lists. So I've got stuff that I need to do over here and really important stuff that I need to do over there. So this is my priority list and this is my, oh, and by the way, can you do this as well? That's working quite well so far. I'm enjoying that. I'm being able to put quite a lot on these. Now obviously if you've got big writing it's not going to work for you, but for me this is working. I like it. So that's how I've got round not being able to colour code. I'm using coloured paper. The same with not being able to highlight my appointments. Instead of highlighting my appointments I put these little stickies in, and all I do is I chop off a little bit of the sticky. These are the fully adhesive post-it notes. All I do, chop off a bit of the sticky and stick it into the margin of where I'm putting my appointments, which we'll see in a minute. My month planning is going in here. It's a little bit sparse at the moment because I'm not teaching this month, so I don't have quite as much going on. There's my full month. I added my monthly chart from my DIY fish inserts. That was the one thing. I like my DIY fish inserts, and the one thing that I found I couldn't manage without anymore is this monthly chart. I need that because I track my bills, I track my household chores, I track my YouTube stuff, all that kind of thing. It keeps me on track. It helps me see, oh, I haven't hoovered all week, I need to get that done today, you know. It also helps me to budget my bills without having to keep putting it in here. So that's a lot of information got out of the way off my daily pages by putting it on here and just tracking it throughout the month. This I'm using for appointments, days off, things I need to do, things I need to pay, just general stuff that I'm jotting down as I go. Now I do transfer this information to my daily pages. When I've got an appointment I will put it on my daily pages on one of my pink stickies, but this is where I plan my month. I don't really see that as duplicating anything because there's no weekly in here. Normally I put it on my monthly page, then I transfer it to my weekly page, then I break it down into my daily page. So all this is doing is getting rid of the weekly. And I'm quite liking that. These boxes are quite large considering the size of the planner, so this works for me. But you know, like I say, I don't have kids. It's just me and the girls and the foster boy, and you know, I'm not that busy and I'm not doing a busy month. If I was doing a busy month where I was teaching and I had a lot of appointments with people booking in critiques and tutorials and stuff like that, that might be more difficult. But this month, not a problem. The beginning of the book I'm going to be using for testing supplies. So I'm going to be using all of this for, you know, testing paints and pens and all that kind of stuff. And I've got my list here. So I put that at the beginning of January. I have kept these little columns because I write so small. These little columns are quite useful. In fact, now I look at them, I probably could have used these for my bullet journaling. That's something I might consider. I had actually started, you know, doing pen testing on them, but I might, yeah, these actually might work for bullet journaling. So I'm going to come back to that because that's an idea I've just had. Then I've got my daily pages, and This is what I was doing in July. I was just trying out different things. Sorry, in June, I was just trying out different things. I did do some forward notes. So anything you see in here that is in blue is forward notes. Because I was trying out different pens and stuff, and I would, you know, I'm used to just picking things up and doing it. This was before I had the idea for the challenge, so I had already started doing that. That happens. The front page, I originally had all my sticky notes for my bills and things on here. Now I have a big gap, so I've written down what I'm doing this month in terms of what I'm watching, what I'm reading, things, what I'm loving, what I'm wanting, and what I'm missing. So I've got what I'm watching. I was watching Grimm on Netflix. I'm also watching Hemlock Grove season 1 again in preparation for season 2 coming out. Yeah, I'm excited. I am reading Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. I'm loving my Hobonichi. Wanting to get my hair cut. That was at the beginning of the month. I've had it done now. And I'm missing my pens. Oh, yes. The hardest part of this challenge so far has been my pens. Not because I colour code particularly. I mean, I do colour code a bit, but I use colour, I don't colour code, if that makes sense. Although I always use orange for work and red for social media, that doesn't stop me using orange and red other times, and it doesn't stop me using other colours. So this is what I've been doing. Let me zoom in a little bit and show you. And this is what I've done. On my left-hand side, where you have the, let me find a blank page, here we go, the 12 and the line, 2 squares in. I've drawn another line, another 2 squares in. And I'm using that column for appointments, things to do, reminders, things I mustn't forget, stuff like that. This is what I mean about the little pink sticky notes. If I've got something that I need to do that I mustn't forget, because I normally highlight it, I'm just sticking it on a sticky note and putting it on the day that it's relevant to. I'm just using basic bullet journaling here. Oops, I haven't crossed something off. Just using basic bullet journaling. So I've been looking at, you know, what I need to do from these, and if I can do it straight from here, I do it, and if I need to block off some time, then I do it in here. Okay, so for instance, recycle the toners from the printer. Well, recycling the toners from the printer involves going online, asking for a bag to be sent out, and then when it arrives, taking it to the post office. That's not a time sensitive thing. I can do that anytime. When I've got 5 minutes and I look at this and I go, oh, I could do that now, hang on. I'll go off and I'll book my bags, and then when they come, I'll put them straight into the toner, put the toners straight in when they arrive, and then all I've got to do is drop it to the post office when I next go to the post office. That doesn't require time. However, see, a lot of my time sensitive stuff is already booked in. Yeah, I don't have anything that I need to book in. So, like, work tends to be time sensitive. All this tends to be just, don't forget to do this. But this all seems to be time sensitive. So, for instance, setting up the email alerts for the last week of class. I know what that means. That was setting up the email alerts for the class that's happening while I'm away. It's already been done. But what I did was I came over onto Wednesday, which was the day I needed to do it, and I wrote in orange, because it was for work, set up emails for week 4. And back here I had set up emails for week 3. So I'd split up the task into 2 bits. And I'd said, right, I'll do that Wednesday morning. This set of time blocking works for me because nothing I do is particularly time sensitive except for the occasional doctor's appointment, and I never know how long something's going to take. So, you know, setting up emails from experience, I know that that should take about an hour to set them up, make sure they work, schedule them, and then double check everything to make sure they're going to go out on the right day. But, you know, the internet could go down, or I could make a complete mess of it and have to start again. Anything could go wrong. So I can't say, oh, that's only going to take me half an hour, I'll do that at 9:30. I just book it in and say, right, well, I'll do that before lunch on Wednesday. Now, I'm using that block there for at 12 for lunch, but my lunch is not at 12. I usually start work about 11 in the morning, and I finish any time between 8 and gone midnight. Depends how much I've got to do and what I'm doing. So for me, 12 o'clock, actually the break in my day is normally around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So this is before lunch and this is after lunch rather than morning and afternoon. This is more like afternoon and evening, actually. So that's working for me as far as time slots. And then this section is what I'm using for journaling. As you can see, I'm just doing bits of journaling, bits of doodling. I have been using, you will notice there's pink. Well, I'm sorry, but I can't not have my pink hair. And if I did this just in black and white, I would be completely bored with looking at it. But also, at the end of the month, I would simply go back and colour it all in, which is just pointless. You know, I've got the red in my Colito that I'm using because I've got my black and orange that I'm using for work and personal. So I'm just using the red. Mostly, I'm just using the red for colouring in my hair, but I have done a couple of odd bits and pieces where I needed to contrast colour. But I'm not overusing the red. I'm very careful about how much I use the red. It's not particularly colour coding, it's just making things stand out. I need things to stand out. And of all the things that I'm missing, my colours is the thing I'm missing. If somebody said to me right now, you can add in any one other thing to your Hobonichi, what would it be? It would be my 120 pack of Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils, because I can get away. I have 120 colours. That is really the hardest part for me. So yeah, as I said originally, I am using this for journaling, for planning. Well, not really planning, more time management. Also, this was, you know, I was researching what the inside of a Hobonichi looked like so I could work out what pockets I could actually manage to make. I've written about shows I'm watching. My teaching break has started, so I put that in orange. I've put in cards, business cards. This is where I got my hair done the other day. This is the hairdressers. This is where I've been using red. Like, I was working out some money stuff that I needed to stand out. And yeah, I could have put it on a post-it and done it in black, but I just clicked my pen and did it in red. I've highlighted a couple of times here just by circling them. I've highlighted the odd header just to make it stand out, purely because I need that to stand out. And just going over it again in black wasn't, excuse me, wasn't making it stand out. So I went round it in red. I need to have things that stand out. I've been planning my room layouts. And then I started putting up here, currently watching and listening. So what I'm listening to that day and what I'm watching that day. And that was just lots of writing. So that's where I'm up to. I'm using my sticky notes. I'm using this bit at the bottom because I don't really want to cover up the quotes, but at the same time, you know, I read them and I'm like, that's interesting. But I don't really, they don't serve a function, but I can't write over them. And I don't want to just cover them over with washi tape, that's kind of pointless. So I'm leaving them where they are, but I'm using this section here, as you'll see later in, no, I've moved those towards, like this. If I've got sticky notes that I need, that's a bill payment I need to do, I'm using that down there as that. It's just a way of using the space and not feeling like I'm wasting it. So there you go, that's how I'm using mine so far, and I'm really enjoying it. That's my verdict. I am really enjoying having one book that fits in my hand, that I can, you know, my phone fits in here if I want to, because I put those things in the back, the little credit card wallets. I can put my card in there, I can put my pen in there, I can even put my pencil as well in there if I want to, if I want to do some drawing as well. And this is all I'm carrying with me, and it's very freeing. To people who already use one planner, that's probably just like normal. But what I've realised from this is how much time I spend messing about with my planners and thinking about, do I need to change this? What if I did this? What if I did that? Because that's my brain, you know, that's how my brain works, and I like that. It doesn't bother me. I enjoy playing with my planners and, you know, working out what's going to work for me this week and everything else. But in terms of, oh, can I just take a break and do something else? This is working really well because I can't change. You know, I've been able to customise it, but I can't just go, oh, I'm bored with this, I'm going to go and use my Midori for a while. So, yeah, that's been good. And I've got so much space on my desk. It's unreal, because I don't have loads of planners out and I don't have all my pens out. I've actually put them away, so I wasn't tempted to use them. And, you know, my desk has been full of projects all week instead of full of pens and pencil cases. These are the pens that I normally would use for everything. I'm using those for my study notes. So the reason I swapped from these two pens is because I don't like drawing with this particular pen. That was my dilemma at the beginning, and it's been my dilemma all the way through. And now that I'm a week into the challenge, I can absolutely tell you that what I know I need above all else is my writing pen. This is my Parker Jotter that I've had since high school, and I absolutely love it. It's the best pen I've ever had to write with. That pen for writing longhand is so much better. I don't get writer's cramp or anything with it. This or any highlighter, one highlighter that I use for highlighting, because this is a ballpoint pen, it doesn't run when you put highlighter over it. And my G-Tech Pilot Calito, you know, they're all the same. These are all the same. Nib. I think this is a 0.3 and this is a 0.4, but, you know, basically they're all exactly the same. I use these for drawing, and I like the different colours. So, you know, that's been my discovery, that that's what I need, not what I just want to carry around with me. That's what I need. And for writing on plastic flags, I need to have a Sharpie fine liner. Not a sharp fine liner, a Sharpie pen. Because none of these write on the waxy tabs. But I now know that all this stuff that I carry, even in my little pencil case, I don't actually need. I don't actually need to carry any of this, and I've realised how much of it I don't actually use, or don't actually need to use. I use it just because it's there, rather than because I need it. So that's been handy to know. I now know that I can go out of a day with just these two, my pencil, and maybe my two Calitos would probably be the most obvious thing. I'm going to get some more of these because I'm loving using these. So there you go, that's where I'm up to with the challenge. So far so good. I'm really enjoying the small size, surprisingly, especially considering the fuss I kicked up last week about, oh, but it's so small. My brain was like, no! But, you know, you just draw smaller and you print photos smaller, and, you know, I write small anyway, so that's not really been an issue for me. I will see how it goes next week. But so far, so good.